I present the handbook for the recently evicted Broadway show.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're going to serve the steamiest cup of Broadway tea, going through the drama, controversies, and scandals of the 2010s. Warning, there will be some spoilers.
Everyone who knows his name knows the story of Scott Rudin.
The Scottsboro Boys, blackface. It was perhaps inevitable that a musical based on the infamous Scottsboro Boys trial would attract controversy. This posthumous Kander and Ebb musical, premiering in 2010, drew criticism and even protests for its minstrel show framing. The minstrel show was meant by the creators to illustrate the evils of racism. Instead of white male actors, the performers in this show were all played by African Americans.
Come and watch them sing and dance.
Follow me, boys!
Come and share their tears and joys.
Still, many felt that the minstrel form was inherently racist and shouldn't have been done, regardless of the context. The musical was nominated for a whopping 12 Tonys, but won none. Was this a misfire? Or, like the duo Chicago, simply ahead of its time? Only time will tell.
Now you can take your B&O, and you can take your Santa Fe, and you can take your old Rock Island and throw them all away.
SpiderMan Turn Off the Dark, fiasco. This rare superhero musical had a score by Bono and direction by Lion King legend Julie Taymor, but the show's technical stunts led to many accidents and injuries.
Plagued by 5 serious accidents, 6 delayed openings, and some of the worst reviews in Broadway history, it seemed as if the death knell had sounded for the show.
By the time it premiered in 2011, it set the record for both the longest preview run and being the most expensive Broadway musical in history.
If you tried to do a $30 million in this day and age, in this time, SpiderMan, you couldn't do any of the flying. You just couldn't do it that way. So as soon as you decide to give people the level that they're expecting, you have to be willing to pay the price.
The musical's reviews were mixed at best, scathingly negative at worst. Despite easily making millions throughout its run, the show eventually closed at a loss due to its high budget. Of course, it attracted all the parodists to the yard. You know your musical is infamous when even Sesame Street joins in on the fun.
I am a spider monster. Watch me fly to the sky.
That's not flying, you just fell on me.
This is only our 17th opening night, sir.
Rebecca the Musical, investor fraud. The curse of the European musical to Broadway transfer strikes again.
How could a show 6 years in the making, on which so many people depended on for their livelihoods, come crashing down in just a single day?
Written by Sylvester Levi and Michael Kunze of Elizabeth fame, this lushly haunting Austrian musical was initially conceived in English. Instead, its original 2005 production was a big hit in Vienna, garnering several international productions. Director Ben Sprecher attempted to stage a full English production first in the West End and then on Broadway, only to become a victim of fraud.
Mark Cotton appears to be a totally legitimate guy. He seemed to have had a real resume. There was nothing to suggest that he ever had a problem.
That's right, 4 of the show's investors never existed in the first place. Eventually, conman Mark Houghton was charged with fraud. Sprecher lost the rights.
This guy was a wolf in sheep's clothing, if you would. He was really a very dangerous guy.
By the time we realized that's what he was doing, it was gone.
The musical opened off West End instead, but its more Spartan production did not wow critics much. The show is haunted more than Manderley.
And even though the production collapsed with the fiery embers of Manderley, the legacy behind the scenes will continue to live on. In a story filled with twists and turns that would have made Daphne du Maurier and Alfred Hitchcock themselves shake their heads in disbelief.
Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812. Casting controversy. Many fans were disappointed when this cult favorite lost to the immensely popular Dear Evan Hansen for Best Musical at the Tony Awards. An even greater controversy concerned the musical's cast.
May your travels be swift as a sight come through the grass. May your sorrows be counted and number as many as drops of wine and vodka that stay in my glass.
After Josh Groban left the show, Okariete Onaldawan took over as Pierre, with great praise from the critics.
This is the last thing that I thought I'd be doing, which is what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's just off a little bit. And everyone's like, what? I didn't really see that happening. So that's exciting for me because then it's a really great new experience for everybody.
But the show's producers, wanting a big name for the role, chose Mandy Patinkin to replace Onaldawan. Fans were indignant at Onaldawan being replaced by a white actor.
Part of the audience is part of the show.
I have not been in anything like this. I have not been in this yet. I will let you know.
The backlash online was so great that Patinkin withdrew from the show 2 days later, expressing his support for Onaldawan. The show never fully recovered from this controversy, closing a month later.
Thank you to every member of the company, cast on stage and crew backstage, past and present. This has been secure.
Dear Evan Hansen, plot and Tony nomination controversies. This Tony Award-winning musical is all over the map. Written by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, it opened to massive popularity and mostly positive reviews regarding the show's handling of mental illness. As time went on, however, criticism of the show's plot grew more fervent. Evan Hansen's lies to a grieving family about his fake friendship with their dead son struck many as horrifically exploitative.
Words fail. Words fail. There's nothing I can say.
Others also felt he wasn't punished enough for his lies by the end. The film adaptation only exacerbated these critiques. Beyond that, the musical was compared unfavorably with Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812 and Come From Away of the same year. Evan Hansen is a divisive figure indeed. Slave Play. Racial stereotype controversy. This play's many controversies are no surprise. Written by Jeremy O. Harris, Slave Play tackles heavy themes of racism, interracial relationships, sexuality, and trauma.
I wanted to invite us to truly imagine all of the ways slavery still lives with us.
The play follows interracial couples as they try to improve intimacies by engaging in slave-master roleplay. While many critics praised the play for its incisive indictment of white supremacy, others were not as convinced.
I think at the beginning you sort of think like, oh my god, what the hell? But then you really have to think about other people's traumas are very different.
There were many protests and even an online petition urging the play to be shut down. These critics have claimed the play disrespects the history of American slavery and its crimes, even accusing it of being anti-black. The play's performances for Black-only audience members, known as, quote, blackout, also drew criticism in London. The play earned 12 Tony nominations, but the discourse still continues.
My play, London, is a really intense play about race, trauma, colonization, etc. And because of that, when you are a black person or a brown person in that audience, it can feel complex to sit next to a white person. Now, that complexity was a part of the play. I wanted that.
Jagged Little Pill, removing non-binary characterization. This jukebox musical stirred quite the drama. A stage adaptation of Alanis Morissette's album by the same name, the musical's plot concerns substance use, LGBTQIA+ themes, and even sexual assault. It was the change to one of its characters, Joe, that sparked the most controversy.
I want to thank my trans and non-binary friends and colleagues who have engaged with me in difficult conversations and have joined me in dialogue about my character Joe.
Joe was initially portrayed as non-binary in the original production in Cambridge. When the show opened on Broadway, Joe was referred to as a cisgender woman, with actress Lauren Patton confirming that Joe was meant to be cisgender all along.
And now I look back and I see, yeah, that felt to a lot of people like I was confirming that this character had a trans identity that I don't hold, and that wasn't developed.
Following intense backlash, the production issued an apology, although Patton would still be playing Joe. The North American tour, however, had non-binary actor Jade McLeod play the role. So it seems non-binary Joe is here to stay. Beetlejuice versus The Music Man. It's rare for two musicals to battle it out like this. Beetlejuice's premiere on Broadway in 2019 came with the proviso that the show vacate the Winter Garden Theater in June 2020.
Well, sorry everybody. Soon a new leading man will have his name on the marquee. Will he be as sexy as yours truly? Nah, not possible.
This was done to make way for a revival of The Music Man, starring Hugh Jackman. The Music Man's producer, Scott Rudin, pushed hard to get the Winter Garden Theater.
We got trouble. Right into the city. With a capital T that rhymes with P that stands for cool.
Oddly enough, Beetlejuice's premature closing had a salutary effect on its box office, making it earn $7.6 million in advance sales. The musical also developed an online following, especially on Tumblr.
I'm on the bench, but coach, just put me in the game. All you gotta do is say my name.
There was even talk of Beetlejuice potentially moving to another theater. Instead, it closed 3 months early due to the pandemic, much to fans' consternation.
Stay in your seats. And yeah, I sing like this 8 shows a week. So just relax, you'll be fine. You're running out of time, but take a breath.
Welcome to a show about death.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Scott Rudin. It's time to talk about Scott Rudin. This notorious Broadway producer was known for his hot temper and high-handed ways, with film director Hugh Wilson admitting to having a bad experience with Rudin.
The volatile Rudin is accused of throwing a glass bowl, staplers, and even a baked potato at people who displeased him.
It wasn't until The Hollywood Reporter's expose in 2021 that more serious allegations came to light. Rudin was accused of threatening employees and even physically assaulting them. He was also accused of illegally firing protected employees and generally producing an unsafe working environment.
They say the show will not go on until they feel safe, both on stage and behind the scenes.
He was sued for unpaid pandemic work. On social media, slave play writer Jeremy O. Harris described him as, quote, loudly racist. In the wake of these allegations, Ruden finally stepped down as producer from his Broadway productions. What goes around comes around.
When it comes to his roles, those positions will be filled by other members of the Broadway community. He also says he is taking steps to address his behavior, and he says that's something that he claims he should have done years ago.
Which other 2010s drama set all of Broadway aflame? Let us know in the comments down below.
I never meant to make it such a mess. I never thought that it would go this far.